If I sat down with 100 Kiwis and asked to see their money plan for 2026, I reckon almost nobody could show me one. And that's the problem, because earning a decent income isn't enough if you don't have a plan for where it's actually going. Have you ever reached the end of a pay cycle and thought, where the heck did it all go? That's what happens when your money has no direction. So in this video, I'm going to give you one. These are the 8 things I'd do if I wanted to put my finances in the strongest possible position over the next 12 months. Don't just watch, take notes, because I'll be giving you practical steps you can start today to put your money plan to work. Nearly half of the New Zealand population is stressed about money, and if you work your way through crafting a plan, hopefully you won't be one of them. So first things first, we need to lay out the groundwork. Most people think budgeting and having a money plan are the same thing, but they're actually very different. A budget looks backwards and tells you where your money went. A money plan, on the other hand, looks forward and tells your money where it's going. So before worrying about investments, interest rates, or even KiwiSaver, start by asking yourself one simple question. What do I actually want my money to achieve in 2026? We have a few examples here, things like saving for a house deposit, paying down debt, and building your financial safety net. Pick a single goal, the most important one from that list, because if everything is a priority, your focus will be too scattered. In all transparency, my primary financial goal right now is debt reduction, so I'm directing a large portion of my savings into paying down my mortgage. The next thing you can do is give every dollar a job. If you earn $1,000, for example, that's 1,000 little soldiers that you need to deploy. A book that I really like is called The Barefoot Investor, and in broad terms, he assigns his income towards 4 buckets of spending: bills, investments, goals, and fun. I like to start with my investments or savings bucket first by defining the savings rate that I want. For example, if I want to save a minimum of 10% of my pay, that's the first job I assign my income to. The rest is divided up between 3 other buckets. The non-negotiables are the bills, things like rent, groceries, transport, all the things that you can't do without. The negotiables are the fun bucket. Things like Netflix, traveling, they aren't mandatory costs and can easily be cut if needed. The fourth and final bucket are for goals, and as we covered earlier, this is where our leftover funds are directed. If you manage the other buckets well, you can start filling up this bucket and be well on your way. This is a money plan, so craft your own ratios between the buckets, but make sure this aligns with your financial goals. Tracking this can also be very useful. Income less expenses tells you how much you're setting aside towards goals each week. And assets less liabilities tells you whether your overall financial picture is getting better. If you fail to plan and track your progress, you plan to fail. So this is the first step you can get started on today. Up second, we've got an attack on the conveniences. Every year, even I find myself starting to cull the tens of subscriptions that I have. YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, iCloud, vidIQ, it's a lot. But the key message is that it's not the big stuff, it's all the small stuff adding up that causes the most pain. As you can see here, spending $25 a week on coffees or even takeout adds up to $1,300 a year. I've flown to Japan for less than that last year, all from saving just $25 a week, which isn't a lot really. A leak of $50 a week is double that, of course. $2,600, which is a return trip to New York. And finally, $100 a week is $5,200 a year, which could get you almost anywhere on earth, all by cutting a small number of small conveniences throughout the week. So here's a few tricks. First, assess your spending, but make sure to keep the things that genuinely bring you joy. For example, I cut my Spotify last week because YouTube has their own music app. Second, use the 48-hour rule. Basically, when you get a spending impulse, say you go to the shop and something looks really cool, stop yourself for 48 hours, and only if you're still thinking about it then, proceed to make the purchase. I've saved thousands doing this, as it gave me time to truly think about whether I needed the item. Third, delete your saved cards. If you only have to click 3 buttons to make a purchase, you've made it too easy to spend. Why else do you think these companies offer it? And fourth, do a subscription detox every few months or so to clear out what you no longer need. Our third big point is a big one for Kiwis, building an emergency fund. So we've built a money plan, we've managed to cut some spending from the fun bucket, now it's time to build a financial buffer. Kiwi Bank ran a survey and 94% of Kiwis agreed that it's important to be financially prepared for an unexpected event. However, only 68% said said they had $500 to go towards an emergency cost. So what happens if the car breaks down, the fridge stops working, or you lose your job? For many Kiwis, they'd have to take on debt or sell something to raise the funds, which shouldn't be the case. An emergency fund is basically money stashed away for a rainy day. If you need it, it's there waiting. Financial advisors often recommend saving 3 months of expenses at the lower end and 6 months at the higher end, but a starting point could be as much as $1,000. This would cover the vast majority of things that could go wrong, and you can increase it over time. Make sure that you keep it in a high interest savings account and use websites like interest.co.nz to compare your options. Now, before we get into the rest of the money plan, you might have noticed these slides don't exactly look like your standard PowerPoint presentation. That's because every single slide that you've seen in this video was created using Gamma, my new go-to platform for making slides. When I was putting this video together, I had already done my research. I just needed a way to quickly display the points and make it look professional. One option was to spend hours moving shapes and text boxes around a PowerPoint pack, trying to make everything look consistent. A better option, and the one I used, was by taking all of my notes, dropping them into Gamma, and in less than a minute it turned them into a complete presentation. This clip isn't even sped up. But of course, there are always a few tweaks to make on my own. Gamma then allowed me to change the layout of different sections, rewrite part of the content, add my own branding and visuals, and whenever I wanted to completely reformat a slide, I could just ask Gamma to do it for me, rather than manually rebuilding them myself. And the result is what you've been watching throughout this entire video. This is what impressed me the most. It doesn't just feel like another generic template presentation. It looks clean, modern, and professionally designed without needing any design experience. Today I've used it to build a YouTube presentation, but it's just as useful for client pitch decks, sales presentations, business proposals, project updates, investor presentations, or even university assignments. And with over 100 million users, many people and companies have introduced Gamma to their tech stack. You start with a document, a prompt, a URL, or notes like me. You then customize it to suit your own content and end up with something that genuinely stands out. So if you're sick of staring at a blank PowerPoint slide every time you need to present something, I'll leave a link to Gamma in the description below. I think you'll be surprised by what you can put together in just a few minutes. Perfect. The fourth step is to sort out your KiwiSaver. In the same survey we saw earlier, just 47% of Kiwis are fully aware of what fund they're invested in. That's got to change. With the average Kiwi having $40,000 in there, you have to know what it's doing to get ahead. Over a lifetime, picking the wrong fund could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, so you've got to evaluate your options, and the Morningstar 360 report is a great place to start researching. The second point is around contributions. Just by putting money in, your employer and the government will have to match these up to a certain point. Check with your employer as well, as many will offer matching to a higher point than the legal minimums. And the final point is around fees. These compound and can add up to tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Sorted has an excellent tool on their website which helps you compare fees between the different funds, so I'll include a link to that and the Morningstar report in the video description. The fifth thing that Kiwis need to do to get their finances in order is to prepare for their mortgage refix in advance. Just last Christmas, I got $9,000 out of BNZ just because I followed these steps. First, check whether you're eligible for a retention cashback from your existing bank or a fresh cashback from a competing one. Banks are always reassessing their market position, so deals can pop up at any time of the year. In my case, ASB offered me $1,700 to stay for 3 years, and BNZ offered me $9,100 to go with them. No joke, guys, so that's how important finding cashbacks can be. $1,700, $9,100. Of course I went with BNZ. Aside from that, 90 days out, start looking at the market. If rates are higher than what you're currently paying, start preparing for potentially higher mortgage payments. 60 days out, start to approach your bank or get your mortgage broker to do this for you and see what their best deal is. If you have a broker, they should know what all the banks are doing at any one point in time, and they'll be able to provide guidance around where rates might be heading. In my experience, banks tell them about rate changes a few days before, so they can be very useful here. You can start looking at ways to structure your loan here as well, so it meets your financial goals. When I moved my mortgage to BNZ at my last refix, I expanded my offset account, which is where I store my emergency fund, while reducing my mortgage. By this point, depending on your bank, you might have the option to refix your mortgage before the due date. I do this when I think rates will increase, or if I think they'll decrease, I wait as long as I can. following the guidance of my mortgage broker. So proactively managing your mortgage refix day can be truly rewarding, and it's a key money tip that I think many Kiwis miss out on every year. Up sixth, we have building a cost of living defense system. Basically, every year there are big bills that renew, and sometimes just calling them for a better price can work wonders. Insurance is a big one, and every year I run my numbers through websites like Quash to compare quotes. Another is the power, broadband, and mobile plan providers. Often, just calling them up will put you in touch with their retention team who will offer better prices to keep your business. We give them good money every year, so any chance to save a bit here and there all adds up. Credit cards are the same if you have an annual fee, and many bank fees are the same if you call to query a charge. 0800 numbers are free. The worst anyone can say is no. So make sure you give this a try because that single call could save you hundreds of bucks every year. That is better in your pocket than theirs. The seventh part of our money plan is to grow your income deliberately. Maybe we can save 5, 10, maybe 20% of our costs, but in reality, it might actually be easier to increase our income by the same amount. The first place to start is by asking the question, what would make me worth more to my employer? Starting with a proof file could be useful, so when it comes time for reviews, you can demonstrate clear evidence of the value that you provide. This could include testimonials from customers, from colleagues, specific and measurable outcomes of your work, like say making a process 20% faster, whatever it is that relates to your role. This can help with negotiating a pay rise. But as we all know, often changing roles or companies can lead to larger jumps. Upskilling to make yourself more valuable to an employer could be a great way to do this, and right now every business is trying to find people that are curious about AI. So for example, if you've built a genuinely useful AI tool, you're probably already ahead of 90% of everyone else, and that will be hugely valuable. And finally, if you have an idea for a side hustle, definitely look into how you can bring it into fruition. I'm filming this video on a Sunday afternoon because I'm doing everything I can to increase my income and direct more of it into my goals and saving buckets. So you don't have to work on a Sunday like I am, that's just what I do, but think about ways that you can grow your income because it's infinitely more scalable than cutting your expenses. The final step is to automate everything. One thing I've learned over the years is that good financial habits shouldn't rely on motivation or willpower. They should happen automatically, whether you feel like it or not. Every payday, I want my money making decisions before I do. That means setting up automatic transfers into my savings, automatic investments into index funds or Kiwi Saver, automatic mortgage payments, and making sure my bills are paid on payday as well. The less that you have to think about your finances, the more likely you are to stay consistent. Just make sure to check your bank statement to ensure that the amounts are correct. And once you've built the right system, your money plan starts running in the background while you can get on with living your life. And as the final point states, the best financial system is one that you never have to think about. It just works. So that's the money plan I'd follow if I wanted to put myself in the strongest financial position possible over the next 12 months. Remember, the goal isn't to build the perfect money plan overnight. It's simply to build one. Nothing in this video constitutes advice as it doesn't consider your personal circumstances. So it always pays to meet with a financial advisor who can help put your plan into action. I've posted over 300 videos helping Kiwis manage their money and grow their wealth. So make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram too at Brent Coleman Investing. And if you want to create better looking presentation slides in 2026, whether it's for yourself or for work, make sure to check out Gamma as well down below in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.